58. At 20, I couldn't go a minute. And I've always thought that was amazing after I graduated, that you were able to let these kids beat on you and beat on a few of them yourself. I've got a lot of praise for Lauren and a lot of stories that I'd like to share, but I'm going to let other people kind of come up and, you know, as you guys finish eating, if there's anything you want to say, maybe to Cara or any of the Collinwood guys or Coach I or Ryan, whoever wants to speak, the floor is yours. But you guys can have cake first, though.
One of my first team speaking, and I still remember those. Lauren never wrestled in the youth stuff. He started in the 10th grade, right, Lauren? And I can actually remember one little incident. We had at the time he started, we used to have 18 individual mats that we had to zip together, put them on a cart, roll them in the cafeteria, move tables out of the way because they had study hall assignments. You had to put a big cover over the mats, and Lauren was involved in that. And right, remember that? Was it 98 or 103? 103. And then 98 came in late. But Lauren was a 103-pounder. And at that time, there was one state tournament. There was no single A, double A, triple A. And it was tough. I mean, we went to Mayfield for the sectional tournament, and they had Maple Heights, all the big time schools were there at that time. And Lauren did well. He made it to the districts. At that time, you know, we never had anybody make state. He had his tooth knocked out. And this just typifies Lauren. Just everybody will laugh when you hear this, but that's Lauren. And I still remember his statement. He picked up that tooth and he said, "Anybody have any tape?" He asked me to tape his tooth.
That's right, that's right. That's right.
Taping my tooth. And he wanted to tape his tooth into his mouth.
That's right.
And then I heard from Evan Lazar, I didn't even know this, he took that tooth and put it in the sock. Kept wrestling. And he kept wrestling. And then Lauren, then he, whatever, how did I lose it? And then he goes, Michael, what happened? Push and hold, okay. So then he, not hit. There you go, Coach. And your first half. Okay. Right. So then Lauren ends up coming around Beechwood, hanging around, and then we finally said, "You hang around so much, we have an opening, we might as well pay you to coach." And of course he did. And to be honest, those were some of our best years ever. And and during the late 90s, early 2000s, we had some outstanding teams those years. Some of those guys and people are here now. And we had some great years, but they were tough. We had some experiences with kids, but that's part of a good team, and that's part of coaching. And I could honestly say Lauren was our rock, and I really mean that. Lauren was the rock. Ryan Peters, Evan Lazar, Sarah Word was on staff during those years, and we did well, did very well. But for some reason, Lauren was always the one who held us together. And I can remember I would go to Lauren, talk to so-and-so, you know, Lauren would handle it. He just handled everything. And again, that's Lauren. I mean, and today, he's handling actually what's happening in his life today. And you will, because that's what he's about. And I'm, 40-something years that we have known each other, and I'm very proud that I've been associated with Lauren's life. So thanks, Lauren, and you'll be around, and keep hanging around with us.
And over the years, we stayed friends, and being friends with Dominic and all the people that follow Beechwood, I've been, along with several of the people who went to Ohio State at the time, always respected Lauren. He was on the team, and always loved wrestling, and continued up until this very day. And I don't know if you know, most of you people know this, but Lauren has wrestled on the Masters level many times, all over the world actually, and obviously now maybe his wrestling days might be over, but he's still going to follow the sport, and his whole life has been involved in wrestling. All these people here to pay respects for him, and there's lots of other people too who probably couldn't make it because they live in different parts of the country. But Lauren has always been a fine gentleman and always been my friend, and I remember those days vividly, and I just want to congratulate you on the partner.
And it was very difficult for me. We would go to open mats like all over Northeast Ohio. And as a girl, wrestling in Ohio was very, very tough the first couple years. I'd go to tournaments, scrimmages, open mats, and no one ever wanted to wrestle me. And then out of nowhere, this guy shows up and was like, hey, I'll wrestle with you. That guy was Lauren. He came to every open mat. He came to every practice. He's been very supportive of my wrestling career. I went off to college, and every time I came back from a break, Lauren would be there. He's like, hey, you want to go to open match? You want to go down to Cleveland State? And he was very instrumental in helping me prepare for my first world team, my second world team, my junior world teams. And then ultimately, when I came back to Cleveland and trained for the Olympics, Lauren was there for me. He came, he made sure I got in at least a workout or two a day. He never turned me away. He never said no. He was always there. I'm blind as a bat. And Lauren was very, he helped me, he gave me contacts and glasses and made sure that I could see. I remember specifically before I left for the Olympics, he gave me a pair of glasses. I didn't ask for them, I didn't need them. And he said, you know what, you look great in these glasses when you walk out to the opening ceremonies. And I wore those glasses for opening ceremonies. I wear them to this day. My prescription has changed, but just because those glasses meant so much that he gave them to me, I continue to wear them because it meant that much. That he went out of his way, he had them mailed to me before I left, and it was something that will always stick with me because he was that type of guy. He was just, he didn't have to do any of that, but he chose to because his love of the sport, his love of people, he was just always someone there that was so willing to help, who wanted to see people succeed. It didn't matter if you were a guy, a girl, you're from a poor neighborhood or anything like that. He was there, and I just want to say thanks, Lauren.
Hey, I'm Eric Adler. I think I know most of you guys here. I wrestled Beechwood in the late 90s.
Say something.
And I think I was at the first practice where Lauren showed up, and it was just like, hey, who's this guy? We didn't know who he was, but he kept coming around, and he was a big help. And I think probably up till my senior year, he could really beat me up. I mean, he just had this toughness. He taught me this awesome ankle pick. He always had a knack for teaching some crazy trick moves, and everybody just really appreciated having Lauren around. For the first couple of years, he didn't even get paid to be a coach, and we just loved having him around. And I think that's, part of the reason when I went back to Cleveland and Ryan Peters asked me to come help out with the youth program, that I did it, and I was able to do it for a couple of years. I think a couple other guys here have also come back and helped for that program. And, it just goes to show that, we have a little fraternity of guys here that, are always willing to do whatever for future wrestling, whether
Practice a lot. I remember one day you came up to me and you said, hey, David, where you live at? I'm like, in Cleveland. All right, I'll pick you up. I said, all right, I'll be fair. You showed up one day, I wasn't ready for wrestling. Couldn't find my wrestling shoes. He said, you had another pair down in Cleveland State already. Didn't know what to think of that, and now, I just met you. We got down to Cleveland State, and you kicked my butt for 2 hours. And then you take me out to dinner, and you said, we're going to be coming to Cleveland State Tuesdays and Thursdays, solo on Wednesdays. And we did that for 8 years. You were my wrestling father. You were my wrestling father. We've been from Vegas to Arizona to New York to all over. I mean, you were always right there with me. I got this one story. We were down in Cleveland State Wrestling.
Push the button.
I'm done with this button pushing. We were down at Cleveland State Wrestling one time, and Lauren wrestles or anything. So he's hurting real bad. He's grabbing his side. He's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm like, you all right? He goes, yeah, I'm all right. I'll just be right back. So he goes in the bathroom, comes back 10 minutes later. He's like, I'm good. I go, you sure? He's like, yeah, I just passed the kidney stone. That's what I do. This is the toughest guy I've ever been. Congratulations, Lauren. You don't need this.
Alright, I'll keep this. It won't be too long, but I don't really remember too much experience that we had, Lauren, but what I do know is that I appreciate all the time and effort that you put into this sport. Not just so much, the moves and all that, but the passion that you showed and all the lessons that you didn't necessarily teach, but that you allowed to let us see and live through you. So I just want to say thanks for that, and thanks for, if you want an experience or an example, it would be for me when I was at Cleveland State, and I went through my whole situation as far as getting out of that program. But Lauren was the only person that made me feel, I guess, normal, or gave me a sense of relief, and I just want to say I appreciate that.
I'm Evan Lazar. I coached with Lauren, I think, for at least 10 years. A lot of people have said a lot of things, but Takara, I want to share something with you, and this is way before you hit the success you had. I was at Lauren's shop picking up glasses for my wife, and this had to be early in your career, and he had like photographs of you somewhere, and he talked about you like for 10 minutes. And he had and there was other, there were other kids that he was working with too, and he was so proud. There was so much meaning in his life for kids that he wasn't getting paid to work with. And that's in addition to everything else he was doing running that shop. Just want you to know that. It's a pleasure for me to meet you. I'll never forget him bringing me behind his counter to show me and talk to me about your successes and the other kids that he was working with. That really stuck with me. I don't think Lauren got paid in the beginning, and there's a lot of hours in coaching wrestling. You lose your Friday nights, you lose your Saturdays, you don't get home until like 7 o'clock at night. And something that I'd like to share, something that hasn't been shared yet. There's like Ryan and I used to, jostle for who, sit in the chair for whatever kid. Lauren never was involved in any of those fights. He was
showed up. I graduated in 1981, and Lauren had this crazy hair. He showed up to practice, and he was the old crazy guy that would be as happy if you threw him into the wall or into the well or into the onto the basketball floor. He's as happy as if he got to throw you, and that was his legacy at Beechwood. He would come in, and whatever physical punishment he could give you, he would give you. Whatever you could take, he would take. And I learned from Lauren, and I learned this throughout my whole career, but especially from Lauren, that wrestling was mostly mental. It was mostly toughness. mostly what you were willing to do and what you're willing to take. And that was something that you didn't even know you were teaching us. You taught us. You taught every wrestler you touched over the years. And I thank you for